So I'm just kind of now planning out my, I'm kind of planning out how my fireplace is going to be. And I know, try to get a straight cut on here because I don't, like I said, this bottom edge is straight. It is the original piece of the foam core, and that's what I'm using for my fireplace. And I know that my the little hearth piece is 1 3/4 wide, so I'm going to want to make it about a 1/2 inch to each side of that. And that looks like a straight edge too, so we're going to use that. So I want to go about a 1/2 inch either side of my fireplace opening. So there's no scale here, so I know I need 1 3/4 for my opening, and then I need another 1/2 on the other side. So that makes it, no people, I don't do figuring out stuff. So that makes it 2 3/4. Duh. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I need 2 3/4 from that edge. 2 3/4 right there. So I know it doesn't look really big, but it doesn't need to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this whole piece down. And this will be the back. I need it about, let's measure the box again. I need it to be, because I've got to allow for my floor. And I will have ceiling beams, which I may or may not have to cut one down. So I think about 6 3/4 high will do. So just lay the ruler on there. I don't like these rulers that have like the 1/8 of an inch up at the top. I don't know, it screws me up. So we will do that. Make our cut across the top, and then we'll try it in to see. Always dry fit everything first. Our floor is dry, so we can go ahead and put that in and then see how this is going to work. And it looks like we're going to have to cut our floor down just a little bit on the side because it's just a little bit too big. So we're going to take off probably not quite 1/8 of an inch. Also, my cuts aren't exactly straight. The other nice part about using cardboard for this, you can cut it off easily. All right, let's try that and see how that is. That is a much, much, much better fit. Our cardboard has expanded just a little bit from putting the paint and the Mod Podge on. So we're going to also have to cut off a little bit of the front piece, and I'm just going to eyeball that. I'm going to go about like so. Probably about 1/8 of an inch, I think, is all we need. There we are. And I roughed it up a little bit and chunked it out a little bit. We'll fix that. Once we get it in there, we can always fix it. Just a little more off one side. And this is what happens when you do paint. The cardboard tends to expand a bit. So I'm just going to try to shave that little bit off. There we go. And it's still sticking out just a bit. So we'll take just a little more off. This is, a part of crafting that happens. Sometimes you just don't get something exactly, and I want the box to be able to close. And I think this would have made just enough of a difference that our box would close nicely. All right, let's try this again. One last try, and let's hope we got it. And that is a perfect fit. I know you can't see what I'm doing. I'm zoomed in a little bit, but now we're nice and the box will close. before we glue that in, I'm going to take just a little bit of this dark brown paint on my finger, and I'm just going to go along the edge so that it's brown. It doesn't matter that it doesn't match the rest of the floor. It just needs to be there. Okay. All right. Well, that was a quick, simple fix. We'll let that dry, and hopefully we'll be able to glue it in before we end this video. So now I'm just going to try laying this piece in here. Make sure we've got a little room. I don't think I have quite enough room. So I'm going to be cutting out this piece here in the middle. As I can see, my measurements are a little off, so I'm going to go from the piece itself. And I'm going to cut. I need to decide how high I want my fireplace. I want it to be big enough, tall enough that she has a lot of room to hang her cauldron. So we're going to say the opening is going to be at least 2.5 inches, which will probably give it kind of a funny look, but as I've said, this is strictly fantasy. Nothing realistic about it here. I'll just go up 2.5 inches up here, like so. And that will be our cutout for our fireplace. That looks pretty even. Alright, that's going to be the cutout that's going to go around the fireplace. And then we are going to be putting rock on there. And there will be another piece that goes in the front to give it some dimension. So yeah, I think that is probably going to do it. Let's cut that out. Now this is just cheap foam core from Dollar General. It's not the best, but it does work. Knife out a little further. Okay, and you all know me by now. I am kind of a haphazard crafter, so don't do things like I'm doing them. Please be safer. This is just me and how I do things. Not all the way through. I hate the cheaper foam board. You get those little pellets of the styrofoam in there, and it makes for not so clean cuts and not such great defined lines. And if this were anything other than this little project, I would definitely be... Alright, well, let's try this and see how it's going to fit. It's obviously going to sit up on top of the... Okay. So if I poke it in, it is a perfectly nice tight fit. You see that? Now, getting it back out. Yeah, that is absolutely perfect. So I just need my front piece now. And I am just going to eyeball this because I think it's going to be easier that way. We're going to want to put a mantle up on top, even though it's going to be probably way too high for her even to reach, but she's a witch. She can zap it with her wand and down it comes. So, oops, that was a nasty noise, wasn't it? Okay, so we're going to say it's about 3 1/8 high. Because I want to put a mantle on, and I want a little bit of a front on there under the mantle. So let's cut it and see what happens. You know, sometimes it's kind of fun just not working on a scale. Because with a scale, you have to, you want to do it right, and you want to make everything look exact and perfect, which is great. I love working in scale, but I also like just once in a while doing my own thing. So to just make sure that these are absolutely even, I'm just going to trace this and cut it out. Not perfectly straight. I'm okay with that because the rock will take care of anything that's a bit wonky on it. Oh, this weather, it is so hot now, and my sinuses from going in and out of air conditioning are terrible. So my voice, which is already terrible, is worse right now at this time. I apologize. How much I can do about it. I can't just stand and hide myself away. So there. That will be the front of our little fireplace. And I don't know, I don't think that's going to give her enough room to really cook. So, since the fireplace is the predominant part of this project and her home, maybe we can add a little bit to the sides just to bring it out because I really want enough room to put a cauldron in. So I'm going to attempt to square this up, and believe me people, when I do this, it goes bad every time. I can measure and cut, and I find I do much better just eyeballing the whole deal. I really do. I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but I am so much better when I guess. So we're going to make these, we're going to make it stick out about 1/2 inch, and I realize that is going to take up a chunk of my house, my little room, but the fireplace is probably the most important part. Oops. Put my 1/2 inch marks in. So I have those. There we go. I will cut off the excess when I'm done. I'm trying my hardest to keep my blade very straight so that I have a nice straight edge on there. Because if you turn your blade, you're going to get an angle cut, and that is not what I'm looking for here. Okay. Don't think, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to make too much difference, this 1/2 inch. It might, you never know, but we're going to go for it anyway. I'm just going to mark my sides off. Like I said, you know, if you want, go ahead. I mean, please do measure. I'm just much better when I don't. And we got a little crooked, so we'll try to cut it straight. And I'm going to go a little bit slower because foam board squishes if you apply too much pressure, and especially when you're working with very small pieces. I like foam board, I just don't like some of its characteristics. So we'll be gluing that onto there. So let's get out the tacky glue and let's do that. And I think once we get that and the front glued on, we're going to wrap this up for the day. I'm just running a bead of tacky glue down the sides. Okay, and then I'm just going to, hopefully I cut that good and straight. And I'm just going to stick it on there, lining the top up because the bottom part over here is just a little bit off. And I want it to be nice and straight. The nice part of tacky glue and foam board is it holds to the foam board very well. Okay, so I might want to put a couple of little spacers in there just to keep my fireplace from collapsing or to keep it straight. So we cut off about I was eyeballing it about right. So yeah, we're just gonna take a little bit off that piece. About like so, and hope we get it right. Just not go all the way through. And even if this isn't perfect, it's not going to show. It is just simply to give our little fireplace some stability. All right, let's try that in there, see how that is. It's good. All right. So now I'm just going to guesstimate it 1/2 inch. As I said, these are just for stability and nothing more. I don't want to go to all this trouble and then have my little fireplace collapse. So yeah, that's going to be fine. Absolutely. See what I mean? I don't measure really and everything goes really well. I measure and it's awful. Just awful. So I'm going to glue the 3 sides so that they all grab on, and I'm going to stick it in here. If you don't get it perfectly even, it's not going to show. And I'm going to put one up at the top. So again, about 1/2 inch. And some tacky glue. This should keep it nice and straight and make it much more stable. I'm pretty sure that pretty soon it will be time to think about getting ready to go to work, which I don't want to do. I'm not putting it clear at the top, but I am putting it close enough. And you know, with foam board too, you can also like, one of my favorite things to do with it is to take just like straight sewing pins. If you can get a hold of sequin pins, they are smaller. They have a point on them. They work really well. And I like those, but I have not seen sequin pins for a while. So I do use straight pins, and you can pin them into the foam board like little nails, and it holds really well. So let's glue the front of this mantelpiece on, and we're going to call it good for today. Next video, we'll start applying the stone. We'll glue in the floor. And this will really start coming together, I think. So there we go. Let's just put that on there, get everything nice and straight and even as best we can. Square it up a little bit. Let's use the mat for that. There we go. As you'll see, I didn't cut quite high enough there, but it will be fine. So there's our little fireplace. We're going to let that dry, and we're going to leave the video right here. So once again, I want to thank you all for joining me. I hope you are enjoying this project. If you are, please leave me a comment and let me know. I want to thank you all for sticking with me and for being here. I appreciate you all so very, very much, because I wouldn't have a channel without all of you. And if it's not too much to ask, would you please hit like and subscribe? It does help the channel out. I hope you all have a really, really wonderful day, and I will see you again next Friday for more of our little Halloween room box in a book. Thank you. Thank you everyone so much. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're just gonna start right in on the fireplace. I have put some cardboard on the inside and I punched a hole because I want to make my fire light up when I put it in. I have also put some pieces of cardboard across the front, and I did put Mod Podge over the top so that whatever I put in there will stick to it. And I think we are going to be using some spackle today, at least on the inside. So let's get started. All right, now we'll just wait for that to dry, and after it's dry, we will come back and we will start putting the rock on.